Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a None of Your Business short. We need to get more of these out there because everybody says they get such value when we just jump in and share some thoughts, some things that are going on in the business world, some things that we're seeing, and some thoughts about how you can navigate it. And today, we wanted to talk to you about using artificial intelligence. You know, this chat GPT, it's the wave. A lot of people are taking advantage of artificial intelligence by using it to create content, to create courses. There's literally nothing that it cannot do. At the same time, though, one of the concerns that people have is that, will AI take over? Will AI eliminate jobs? Will there even be a need for, my job, copywriters, content creators,
Course
etc.?
creators, yeah, anything.
And so we thought we would tackle that a little bit about how we see the best way to use AI is. I mean, and there's so much stuff out there on it. I almost feel silly talking about it because I just feel like it's an example of exactly what it's going to do. It's a product of its own demise, if you will. There's so much trash now that is going to be generated on the internet. I mean, why not have AI talk about the best way to
To
use
use
AI
AI for sure.
rather than have people talking about the best way? I mean, and then at that point, then we just really don't even need people. I think that what's going to happen is that people that are using AI to generate posts, social media posts, and blog posts, and content in general, they're just literally going to clog the internet. It's like just throwing a bunch of toilet paper down the toilet just for the sake of putting toilet paper in the toilet because you can. Like, oh, we can make content. We can have AI generated content. What it will do is it'll make me look like a content generating machine. But really what we're doing now is we're just clogging the internet with a bunch of junk. I'm not saying junk in that it's not true. I'm not saying junk in that it's not useful. I'm just saying that whatever you can generate, now I can generate, James can generate it, you can generate it, everyone can generate it, and we're all just generating stuff on a myriad of topics. And so now for the consumer, there's just so much stuff that's just being laid on the internet. And I think that, there's supply and demand. So I think that now the value of the stuff in general starts to decrease.
Well, I was telling you this morning, I was scrolling through, I don't even know, Facebook or something like that, and I saw here's some AI tools that you can use. And we always think about content and copywriting, but again, AI is used for anything. I mean, and now you can literally take a photo that you have and say, change the scene to winter, even if it was a summer photo, and AI will regenerate the entire photo for you. So, I mean, we're not just talking about potentially copywriters and people doing that kind of thing going out of business or having things take over. We're talking about graphic designers, photo editors, video editors. I mean, AI can do things, but the reality of it is it can do things well and it can do things faster, right?
Oh, what about fashion and you said design,
Design,
but it could
yeah.
be fashion design, it could be
Interior
interior
design, it
design,
could
it could
be,
be engineering, it could be
yes.
architecture. Now, all of these things, right, are entering into that world. But here's what's going to happen. I believe is that AI is new, and
Yep.
so we're all excited about it, and everybody's putting all of their AI stuff and the AI courses and how to use AI. This is our how to use AI course done in a short. I'm going to tell you how I think you can use AI. But here's what I think. I think that I'm just going to go ahead and put this on record. I think that in this next election cycle, so November of next year for the election, and all of the campaigning leading up to that, we're going to see the proliferation of the use of AI, AI generated false
Yeah.
propaganda about candidates. I mean, because like you said, we could say, hey, AI, make a video of this candidate talking negatively about this demographic.
And you won't be able, most people will not be able to tell if it's real or fake.
Well, I mean, you literally cannot, right? You have the AI scams where family members are calling you and asking you
Yeah.
for help or for money. It's their voice or potentially even their image. You can't tell it's not them. And so now they're saying, you need safe words, you need codes that you've come up with to figure out whether or not, the conversation is real or not real.
Right.
here's what's going to happen is, what we're waiting for is the tipping point here is when society as a whole, when the collective consciousness begins to say, I just don't know what to believe anymore.
Right.
And there's all of these great uses, but then, somebody, say James, starts putting out content where he's leveraging AI to put out content to not talk about his area of expertise. He starts putting out content that's helping parents navigate colic, for
Right.
example. But he's doing it under the byline, right? James Lewis. And he's putting out all this content that's AI generated. And then one day they meet James.
And they're asking him about
They're asking about
colic.
colic.
And he's like, well,
I was just
yeah.
putting that stuff out using AI. I was just
Right.
putting that out there. And then their whole perception of reality when it comes to James is destroyed. They're like,
Right.
oh my gosh, like, man, I held you in such high regard. I was very hopeful that you'd be able to help my child. Now I meet you and I figure out that not
That
that
wasn't
you're
your
not that you're a
information.
fraud.
Yeah.
Again, because you were using AI, you're not a fraud, but that wasn't your information.
Right.
So I think that the first thing that we're going to see is society, the collective consciousness begins to say, I don't know what to believe. The next thing that I think that we'll begin to see as humans is that there will be a major premium placed on in-person dissemination of information. This is
Right.
weird because it's almost like we're going back into the existentialist times when knowledge would be shared by people who traveled around, and they would erect these tents. They would show up in the city and they would impart and disseminate philosophies, knowledge bases. You would show up in the town square to hear these great thinkers and orators share what they had to say. Well, the only
Live.
way that you
Yeah.
would know this in, say the next decade is whether or not the information that you're consuming is real is to actually be in the same room, right? You see this, I think it's interesting, the popularity of someone like Jordan Peterson, who puts out a lot of content on the internet, but also does these live appearances. And what is the live appearance? It's the same thing. It's a philosophical discussion,
Right.
debate, sharing, and people pay money, big money, to go and hear that. I think that a lot of people who are rubbing their hands together saying, this AI is great because now I'm going to dominate the internet. You've got to understand a lot of people are rubbing their hands together trying to dominate the internet. So the first thing is, I don't know what to believe. The second thing is a premium on live events.
Yeah. Well, and here's what I want to say, because I know a lot of you out there listening are kind of, so, or some of our audience, they're like, well, I don't want to engage or partake in utilizing AI because of where it's going. And it makes people really nervous. But the reality of it is it could potentially be a losing battle for you if you don't, because everybody is going to bypass you and go and essentially get things done faster, put out more content. So in a sea of more content, you still should be utilizing AI as like a curator of information, not necessarily to write your information, write your content, edit your videos, edit your photos, but utilizing it so that you can curate information about your skill set and knowledge base faster, so that in your own words, you could put out content.
Well, I mean, even on that, where we have these tools where, for many years, keyword searches, right? And
Right.
what was, ask the public, or what are people searching, and all of this.
We
Well,
utilized that
now,
stuff before.
well, now,
Yeah.
but now you can just ask AI. You can
Right.
ask AI the challenges that your demographic is having. You could ask AI what things that you need to be talking about, so that you're answering the needs of your demographic. I mean, of course, you could ask AI to give you clues on bullet points, topics.
But the responsible and smart thing is still for you to utilize your own voice
And
to put
knowledge.
and
And
knowledge to
knowledge.
put that information out
Sometimes
there.
I think that it's
Right.
also important to share what you don't know. You see, that's the problem with AI, is that AI is gleaning information from a lot of sources. And what happens is, while information is information, there can be conflicting information.
Right.
For example, on vaccines. I know that a lot of our users have stances on vaccines. I mean, are you pro or against vaccines? Well, there's data on both sides of that argument. So it'd be interesting to ask AI. And what will happen is then you have to prompt AI. Like, I want you to adopt this position. Well, now that's not actually an intellectual decision. This is just you prompted it to adopt this position,
Right.
versus you have your positions, your philosophical views, your worldviews based off of your life experience, things that you actually lived, not just things that are sitting on the internet. And that's where the value, right? The value is going to be placed on experience. Again, we're going back in time, because it's like, value from your elders, value from your grandparents because of what they lived. Well, AI didn't live anything, but AI has access to all of the data, but it didn't live. Does not have
Life
experience.
experience,
And so
right.
the value that will be able to be imparted or shared
The human
will be
element,
the human element.
right.
What you feel, what you lived, what you learned, what happened, and what you experienced. But in contrast to what other people may have experienced, and that then put together allows you to begin to create your own definition, your own position on the things that are happening in the world. That, in my opinion, is what's going to be extremely valuable. Not just what you read, not just what you saw on the internet, not just what you viewed, watched, or listened to, but what you lived. Sharing what you lived, it will be incredibly valuable, and AI is not going to be able to do that.
I agree.
All right, everybody, that's today's short. Make sure that you are thinking about AI. Make sure that you are keeping an eye out, because I am saying the tipping point will be when people start to share with you, I don't
Don't
know
know
what
what
to
to
believe.
believe.
We've already had some people say, people are beginning to say that. Next is you really need to be moving into the value of live experiential dissemination of information. Live workshops, live things where you're teaching, live events are coming back. I believe that you'll be able to command a massive premium on live events. Back in the day when you would fill a stadium to share information. And then lastly, using AI in an appropriate way. AI can be a phenomenal tool, not to replace you necessarily, but to prompt you,
Enhance.
to give you guidance and help you to
Mm-hmm.
move along the way, while you take that information and add your own life experience and worldview to that. That becomes even more valuable to the world. Hope you enjoyed today's short. We'll come back again next week with a regular None of Your Business podcast. We'll have an exciting guest here with us, and we'll be super excited to share with you. But we are committed. We're going to continue to drop in more of these shorts. If you
Yep.
want us to cover any particular topic on a None of Your Business short, shoot us an email. Send it to james@blackdiamondclub.com. He'll make sure that we cover any topics that you send our way. See you next week.